Hey class, so this week we are back to 7th grade statistics. We already started this learning goal back when we were still in school, March 2nd, before spring break. We are using random samples, so random sampling, to draw inferences about a population. So basically we are going to be taking samples randomly, okay? We like random. This is a beautiful word for statistics. Random is key. So we are using random samples to make predictions, inferences, to notice relationships about a population. So the sample is small, like it could be Miss Fry's second period class. The population we're trying to represent is maybe all 7th graders at Greenwood Lakes Middle School. So specifically, we are identifying random samples and making sure that they are producing the most valid representation of the population. Valid. What does valid mean? Valid means that it's not biased. It does not have bias in the sample. Okay? We want it to be valid. We want it to be accurate, unbiased. So I pulled some random questions that we are going to be solving together. Obviously, you guys do not have this handout, so you're not able to glue this into your notebook, so you're just going to have to bear with us during distance learning. Write down notes that you would like, or if this is more of a review, since we have done random samples before spring break, just pay attention, watch, okay? But actively participate. So the first question, the cafeteria director, let me zoom in. All right, the cafeteria director at Great Minds School wants to know what percent of the students would choose vegetarian entrees if they were available. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just so you guys know, this is my sixth lecture or lessons I've recorded in 24 hours, so I might mess up and stumble over my words. So basically, the person who's over the cafeteria, the lunchroom, wants to know roughly what percent of students would choose vegetarian options if they offered them. So which of the following survey methods will allow the director to make a valid conclusion? Valid, not biased. Valid, accurate, not biased. About the percentage of students who would choose vegetarian entrees. So we have two answer choices. A, sort a list of the students into a random order. Random order, we love random. And then ask the first 35 students on the list. B, ask the first 35 students in line for the cafeteria. All right, so think about this. Before I answer it, think, which one would you choose? So pause the video and think. Okay, so hopefully you selected A. Why would you pick A? So let's talk about it. A has the beautiful word random. So the only difference between A and B, because both of them are asking the first 35 students in line or on the list, the difference though is A randomized the order. It's completely random. We don't care if you're the first person to the lunchroom or if you're the person that came halfway through lunch because you had lunch detention. You put them in a random order and then ask 35 students on the list. B is asking the first 35 students in line for the cafeteria. Obviously, they got to the cafeteria really fast and got in line to buy the school's lunch food. So they probably are going to be biased because if they're buying the school lunch food and they're trying to get first in line, they probably really like the food. So it's not going to be a valid or unbiased representation of all the kids at the school. So A is the most valid. All right, B. Ron intends to survey spectators at the Quidditch World Championship to find out which team the most spectators support. This is Harry Potter. Which of the following survey methods will allow Ron to make the most valid, not biased, we love valid, conclusions about which team the most spectators will support. A. Put the names of all of the spectators who speak the same language as Ron does, into a cauldron. Mix them up. That's good that they're mixing them up. Draw out 75 names, so you're not looking, because it's just in like a bucket, and survey those spectators. B. Put the names of all the spectators into a cauldron again. Mix them up. Love it. Draw out 75 names and survey those spectators. So what's the difference between A and B? What's the only difference? Well, A says who speak the same language as Ron. B is just putting all the names of the spectators into a cauldron. A, the names going into the cauldron have to speak the same language as Ron. So let's go back to the question. Ron intends to survey spectators at the Quidditch World Championship to find out which team the most spectators support. It doesn't say the most spectators who speak the same language as him. It just wants to know in general out of all of the spectators. So B says all of the spectators, not just all of the spectators who speak the same language. So B is the most representative of the population. All right, try the last one on your own. All right, so I read it and chose my answer. If you still need more time, pause it and make your selection. So, if you picked A, raise your hand. Okay, put it down. If you picked B, raise your hand, make a commitment. I know some of you guys didn't raise your hand, but I really want you guys to commit. Make a decision. Which one do you think it is? So, we notice both answer choices say randomly select. We like random. A is 48 students. B is 12 students. We like bigger samples. So far, A is winning because it's random and it's a bigger sample. A, though, says randomly select 48 students who drive to school and ask them their grade level. B says randomly select 12 students from each grade level and ask them whether they drive to school. So which one seems the most accurate? Remember, the girl's trying to find out what percentage of each grade level drive to school. So hopefully you picked B. Yes, A has a bigger sample. But think about it. If you're in high school, so you're at Lake Mary High School or Seminole, wherever you're going to go, most likely 9th and 10th graders aren't driving unless you've been held back. Because 9th and 10th graders usually ride the bus or aren't old enough. On top of that, the permits, the parking permits at high school are for 11th and 12th graders, and you have to pay for them. So 11th grade, some students usually get your driver's license when you're 16 at the earliest. So that's usually 10th grade to 11th grade. At Lake Mary, when I was there, you could not drive to school until you were in 11th or 12th grade. So if you're asking the students who drive to school what grade they're in, their answers are going to be 11th or 12th. Whereas if you ask 12 students from each grade level, well, that's 12 students in 9th grade, 12 students in 10th grade, 12 students in 11th grade, 12 students in 12th grade. So that's 12 students in for 4 grade levels. 12 times 4 is 48. So actually, you are still interviewing 48 students for Part B. So the sample size is the same. But what's important is that you're surveying 12 ninth graders. randomly. 12 10th graders, 12 11th graders, 12 12th graders. And then saying, do you drive to school or not? This one is much more accurate. Where, of course, the people that drive to school are going to be older, so it's going to skew it. It's going to make it not as valid. Okay, so now we're going to try. They're still valid claims. It's still the same standard, but it's different types of questions that you'll still see on Khan Academy. So we're going to go over these 3 types. A large random sample of American students in 7th grade. So American students in 7th grade, random, love it, showed that 20% of them were reading below grade level. So they took a random sample of the U.S. of 7th graders, and about 20% of them were reading below grade level. Based on this data, which of the following conclusions are valid? Which of the following, but it says choose one answer, valid, accurate, not biased. Okay. About 20% of all American students in 7th grade were reading below grade level. B, 20% of this sample was reading below grade level, but we cannot conclude anything about the population. C, about 20% of all American students were reading below grade level. Which one do you think it is? So let's analyze each one. A says about 20% of all American students. Well, the thing is, this random sample was all America. It didn't say like Florida. It's all America. All American students in 7th grade. This says all American students in 7th grade. About 20% of them were reading below grade level. Well, our sample was very valid. It was not biased or anything. So this one looks good right now. Let's see if B and C look good or bad. B, 20% of this sample was reading below grade level. That is true. But we cannot conclude anything about the population. The thing is, because this was such an accurate or a valid sample, a good sampling method, we can make conclusions about the population. This one says we can't make any decisions about the population based on the survey, but we can, so that's not true. C, about 20% of all American students were reading below grade level. So what's the difference between C and A? In 7th grade. This survey was just 7th graders. So no, we can't say that kindergartners are reading below grade level. That might not necessarily be true. You can only make the inference about the population in regards to 7th grade. All right, number 4. Nope, 5. Okay. The Adventure Zone amusement park asked all of their employees, so they asked every single employee who attended college, how many hours of homework they had per week. So each person that worked there, they asked each employee who went to college, hey, how many hours of homework do you have per week? And then they determined that on average, they had 24 hours of homework per week. So all the college students that worked at Adventure Zone, they took the average of how many hours of homework they had per week. And on average, they had 24 hours. Based on this data, which of the following conclusions are valid? Not biased. A, the amusement park employees who attend college have an average of 24 hours of homework per week. Yes, that's a good summary. But we cannot conclude anything about the percent of the population who have homework. Okay, so that one, when you can't conclude anything about the percent of the population who have homework, that means it wasn't a very valid survey that represents the entire population. Maybe. B, 24% of all amusement park employees who attend college have homework each week. Then this didn't say anything about 24%. It said they had 24 hours of homework, so no. 24% of all amusement park employees who attend school have homework each week. The only difference between these is this is college and this is school. Okay? Still, it's 24 hours of homework, not 24%. So by process of elimination, A is the right answer. Also, A is the right answer because, yes, we went to some theme park and we asked them how many hours of homework they have per week if they were in college. That does not at all tell us how many hours per week on average people in college in America have. Because these amusement park workers, maybe they have a certain degree more and the amusement park kind of goes along with their degree. They're probably not trying to be doctors or teachers or like psychologists or physicists. Like people that do those types of things aren't typically working in the theme park. So that's definitely biased and not a valid survey. Also, these are both 24%. This had nothing to do with 24%. It says hours. All right, the last one. Yet again, I want you guys to try the last one on your own before I go over it with you. So pause it and try it. Tasty Treats Baking Company asks a random sample of 100 students. Beautiful. 100 students, that's a good size, random sample. In the senior class, that's important. So they're only asking the 12th graders at Richmond High School this question. Do you prefer chocolate or butterscotch Tasty Treats? Everyone surveyed had to pick one of the two answers. 42% of those 12th graders from that 100 random sample, 100 student random sample, said they preferred chocolate. Which of the following conclusions are valid? Make your selection. Okay, so the only difference between A and B, the only thing B has added is in the senior class. That's important to know. 9th graders might have a different percentage. 10th graders might have different. About 42% of all students in the senior class at Ridgemont High prefer chocolate. Yes, that is true. That's a valid conclusion. But we can't say that 40% of all students in all 4 grade levels. We can only say that for 12th grade because it said senior class. Let's read C. 42% of this sample preferred chocolate, but we cannot conclude anything about the population. Well, what was the population? They did not specify exactly if they were trying to decide about the entire United States or what. But our population that we're going to say is all senior class. The whole senior class at Ridgemont High School, 42% of them prefer chocolate. So that is the most valid conclusion. If they said that we were trying to make a prediction whether females in America preferred chocolate or butterscotch, and this was their survey, then we would say 42% of the sample preferred chocolate, but we can't conclude anything about the population. Because this wouldn't be valid to say, hey, 42% of all females in the world prefer chocolate, because 42% of these 100 seniors chose that. No. So what we can say, though, that is valid is 42% of all students in this senior class at this high school prefer chocolate. All right, after this, you are now ready to do valid claims. I'm titling the notes. Oh, you can't see it. I'm titling the notes the same as the Khan Academy. If you have any questions, guys, if you have any confusion, text me, call me, email me. If not, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.